We hear you. It's Aida.
Okay, good.
Hi. Okay. So, hello everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us today. And my name is Aida Ben Hamouda. I'm Tunisian. I live and work in New York. I'm an investment banker and a photographer. So, before we start, I'd like to take a moment to thank Whitebox and FIAF for organizing this beautiful exhibit and today's panel. So, the title of today's panel is Art, Women and Politics. And I'm thrilled to be moderating today's discussion with our brilliant panelists who are present here from Tunisia. And we have from Carthage, Tunis, via Skype, Elisa. Hi, Elisa. Stay with us.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, we were hoping to see some trees in the background. Nice. Okay. So, on my right, I have Leila Souissi. Leila is the Tunisian contemporary art specialist and the after-revolution curator. And then Dora Bouchoucha. She's a film producer and the founder of Nomadis Images. And then Amna Guellali. She is a director of Human Rights Watch Tunisia. And Kenza Fourati. She's a model and a blogger. We were supposed to have Lina Lazar and Sihem Bouchoucha, but unfortunately they couldn't make it. They were stuck somewhere. Anyway, so what I'd like to do is to make a brief introduction and then go right to our panelists, then take questions from the audience. We have also a lot of artists here, the Tunisian artists, so feel free to intervene whenever you want. Okay? So, in February 2011, just 1 month after the revolution, we had our first panel here in Whitebox called The Path to Democracy in Tunisia and the Region. We discussed as best as we could what to expect in the future. So, less than a year after the revolution, in October 2011, for the first time, free election in Tunisia took place, and we began to see some changes in the country. It seems that these changes have done little to attain the goals that brought people out into the streets at the start of the uprising. So the religious party, Ennahda, took 40% of the votes in that first election, becoming the leading member of the Constitutional Assembly. Some result of this choice is that women have to fight for their equal rights and artists face some new form of censorship. So I'd like to start with Amna Guellali right away, talking about women. Women and human rights. She's the director of Human Rights Watch Tunisia. Before that, I want to point out something, that after gaining independence from France in 1956, Tunisia was the most progressive country in the Arab world in terms of women status. Women were given the right to vote, to divorce, polygamy was banned. But since this religious party is in power, it seems like they wanted to turn back the clocks and restrict women's rights. So, Amna, what's your thought on that? Can you tell us more?
Well, thank you. Thank you for organizing this conference, and I think it's a great panel. It's great to be here and to see all this nice art around us, nice Tunisian art. Concerning the theme of this panel on women, arts and politics in post-revolution Tunisia, I think this theme epitomizes, in a way, all the specificity of the Tunisian society and Tunisian society. Because as Aida was saying, Tunisia, after gaining the independence, was the first country in the Arab world to have abolished polygamy. It has a very long tradition of modernism, starting even from the 18th century, because one of the first constitutions in the Arab world was drafted in Tunisia in 1881. In 1861, Tunisia was also the first country in this region to have abolished slavery in 1881, I think. So it has a very long history of modernism, of rights, etc. And this has been also illustrated in the Tunisian code for personal status, where it has abolished polygamy, also afforded women the right to divorce, raised the age of marriage to 18 years old, etc. All these were great achievements, and something which is still absolutely not mirrored in other countries in the region. Now, after the revolution, obviously Tunisian women have been at the forefront of the struggle. They were really having a very important role together with all the forces, all the vibrant forces of society in order to make the regime fall. And they have continued, obviously, to have this role after the revolution. Now, obviously, if you try to understand what's going on in terms of the politics that are taking place now in Tunisia after the revolution, and especially after the elections of the National Constituent Assembly, where you had more than 40% of the vote went to Islamist parties. Then the Islamist party made a coalition with two other more or less secular parties, and then you have the elaboration of the constitution, which is taking place. If we want to understand what's going on in terms of women's rights, I think we have to distinguish between different levels. Because on the level of the law or the legal framework which is governing Tunisian women's rights, I think nothing really has changed in terms of the legal framework, because the code of personal status is still there. In the constitution, the problem is that there were a lot of discussion about how to include women's rights and what kind of formulation you will give to these rights. And the conservative parties, Islamist party, and Nahda parliamentarians inside the National Constituent Assembly promoted a new notion, which is called the notion of complementarity between men and women. And this notion obviously was there and was promoted in order to erode, in a way, the other concept of equality and total non-discrimination between men and women. Then after there was a big outcry and outrage against this formulation in the draft constitution, they moved away from this, and at the end, Nahda dropped this formulation of complementarity between men and women. So now, as the constitution draft stands, it has a clause on equality, but it's more or less it's not very full-fledged equality. It's not very clear. It's shrouded with some kind of very vague wording that makes it difficult to understand what it means, like in terms of equal rights, in terms of protection for the personal status code, in terms of protection for the gains of Tunisian women. So there are in the draft constitution, as it stands now, many loopholes and many vague wording of some clauses that could be used in the future by future legislators and future judges to erode and to erode the gains of women. So I think this is one of the lines that we have to address. Then on the reality of what's going on, that's the legal framework, but the reality, how is the reality of women? Did it change since the revolution? Is there like a big backsliding in terms of women's rights? I think there is. I think there are like good signs that there is a backsliding, especially in the discourse of the ruling elite, which has since they gained power, they are very much attacking women's rights. Like in terms of, for example, Tunisia has ratified the CEDAW, so it's the Convention Against Discrimination Against Women, and they are attacking this convention. They are saying that this convention is promoting like whatever, I mean, the immorality, prompting women to be immoral, etc. So they are attacking it frontally. That's a sign that women's rights are completely not understood the way they should in this among this ruling elite, and that they are attempting to backslide on them. You have also the presence, I think, of extremist groups or hardliners, be it inside Ennahda, the ruling party, or inside the in the Salafists, you know, so-called Salafist groups, who are also very much attacking women and attempting to impose their views on them, on how they should behave, how they should wear, what they should wear, etc. So I think these are the different levels of the reality of women today. And of course, I don't pretend to speak about the artists. Thank you.
I have another question regards women. In Tunis, we have educated, like high educated women, and versus the region less educated. And during the protest, different women from all over the country, they went down the street to protest, to fight for the rights, for their children's rights and everything. So, do you think that these women today have the same voice?
I think the struggle is still ongoing, and I think women are very much, very strong in Tunisia. As you said, we have a big class of very educated women who are very vocal in defending their rights, and that's why, for example, this clause on complementarity between men and women didn't pass, because there were all these groups of feminist groups who have fought it very hard and try to oblige the coalition to step back and not uphold this idea of complementarity, which is completely absurd from the point of view of women's rights. So I think women are still very, very strong, and they are even stronger and stronger as they feel that their rights are being threatened and that their gains are being eroded in a way, and I think this will continue along the transition.
Okay, thank you. I would like to turn to Leila now. Leila Souissi, she's a Tunisian contemporary art specialist, and she's a creator of the After Revolution, which is here one of the photographs around this wonderful exhibit. They were taken during and after the revolution, I think. Yeah. Okay. Today, artists should react to the current social political environment if they are to be relevant. So, is it possible to be an artist without being political in Tunisia? And how are the artists doing in general? Maybe we can have also capture some artists interview.
Allow me just something I always dream to say is Good Morning America. Since the day I've seen that movie, I'm dreaming about saying that. So thank you for giving me that. Marie-Monique, thank you for giving me Good Morning America. We are here because, yes, that revolution in fact been something quite important for the artists because they gave them the strength to go to the streets, to protest, to take a picture, to do some opera, some arts. And without, I don't think they have any feeling of frightening. They are here, we are going to ask them, but I don't feel seeing them working since now 2 years and taking them all over Europe. I think they feel free to do whatever they want, even if some of them are having problems, and one of them is having strong problems, he's in France actually. The revolution, in fact, if I can say so, revolution has been positive for the artist, I think. And they express themselves. What I've seen after that is, as Amna was telling about the women, I feel that there are more women doing art than men. In fact, in my selection here, it's not because I'm feminist, because it's a reality on the side. I have more women with me than men. And they're taking part of the political thing by giving the opinion, even in photo, in video, in painting. They're taking their part of the solidarity with the women problems and the women freedom. So that's what I have to say. I mean, you're seeing them working here, you're going to see them tomorrow. I hope you will be there at the FIAF where they're having some other type of work on video and painting. And for the time being, if I'm mistaken, they are here, they will tell me if I'm mistaken. For the time being, I think they have the right to do or to express whatever they want. I don't know how long that is going to stay, but for the time being, I think that's the way.
Okay, as a curator, we have these beautiful photographs, and I remember you mentioned that you had to choose for 2,000 artists.
No, not artists,
Photos, sorry. So I'm assuming there are a lot of artists in Tunisia, but thanks to the revolution, now we came here, we heard about them, we knew them, but without the revolution, is it possible to be a successful artist right now?
In Tunisia, yes. In New York, less. But the last time Tunisian artists were exhibited in New York was in '56 in the local of the United Nations. It was Abdelaziz Golgi, and he was giving drawings about the rabbin of Djerba and other sites. And after that, none of that important, non-representative of Tunisia, not really. I don't know, I have no idea. On this history of art, there is Golgi, which was important, and now this one, thanks to the FIAF. So it's true that Tunisian art is known more in Tunisia than outside. I'm not going to explain why, it's a long thing. That is in a few words. The Tunisian market for the artists is so extraordinary, it's so demanding that they are completely staying at home and not having no effort to go outside. And it's pity. I feel that they have to be shot. But we are here today. We are showing what we are doing, and I hope that will open them the street to go outside.
Okay, thank you. We have Dora Bouchoucha, who is one of most successful female producer and founder of Nomadis. She's a curator of the film, part of World Nomads Festival. And she's a series of insightful movies and documentaries before and after the revolution. Sorry. Dora, we barely hear about Tunisian movie in York City. But I remember last November, at the MoMA, there were a series of an interesting Tunisian movies, part of series Mapping Subjectivity, right? Organized around the team Transgressions, right? That explore how filmmakers and artists from the Arab world have dealt with shifting attitude towards sexuality and gender roles in the Middle East. And one of the Tunisian movies presented, which is I think in the series, the Nomad series, that I really recommend, is called Wave and Bird's Secret. And I thought it was really good movie in the sense that it was kind of edgy and focused on different taboo subjects like single mother with homelessness and stuff that we don't really see too much. Dora, you have a long career in movies, so can you speak about, as a woman in this industry, what challenges you face? And also, is there an inspiration from your approach to the filmmaking in this changes of... Is there a new approach in filmmaking, like before and after the revolution? Did you notice a little bit, like, I mean...
First of all, I would like to thank you all for inviting us and for giving us the opportunity to voice a little bit what is going on back home in Tunisia from our perspective. Yes, I would like to add something to what you were saying earlier. You both, Amna and Leila, about the framework, the legal framework of women's law in Tunisia. It was so strong. I remember not only there was the abolition of polygamy, etc., right after the independence and quite early, but that was early, the end of the 50s. But we had equivalents. The salaries were equivalent. Not even in Europe we have the same thing. We have that. Women and men are paid equally in Tunisia.
I don't think in the US we have this neither.
Yes, that's why I wanted to say it. Since 1956, 57, we had, also we, something which also, because my mother was a social worker, and I remember that abortion was really something that French and British women used to come to Tunisia to have abortion, because they couldn't have it in France or in Britain. So it was so modern that I think I can understand today how the government in power, the party in power, the fundamentalists, they really want to change that. It's really, this is what they want to change. They want to change that modernity, really, and take us backwards. But we are resisting. Now, to go back to what you were asking me, yes, Buried Secrets, the film that I hope you will watch it, you will see it. It's going to be screened one of the Tuesdays of May, and you can check. It's the very talented Raja Ameri, who also directed Satin Rouge. We did this film in 2009. It was released in 2010, and she didn't think making a political film at all. If I pitch the film, it's the more you repress, the more you oppress people, they end up being monsters. That's the pitch, if you want. And the film was a co-production between Switzerland, France, Algeria, Holland, and Tunisia. And one of the first screening was in Switzerland, in Geneva. And I remember most of after the press conference, The journalists were saying, oh my God, this is very political. It really speaks about what's going on in Tunisia, in the Arab world. And I remember with Raja, I said, oh my God, what will happen to us in Tunisia if they realize that it's a political film? We didn't even realize ourselves that we were making a political film. If you watch the film, you will not see anything political. But after the revolution, we realized how political the film was. Now, to your question about, yes, of course, there will be a different approach to filmmaking. To ask, first of all, if I talk about myself, I did not used to make documentary films before. We did one with Raja, Ameri, in Algeria about Isabelle Berard, which is a fantastic piece of work, really. But I didn't want to make documentary in Tunisia because we didn't see the interest. We couldn't talk about political issues, we couldn't talk about social issues because we had to talk about beautiful images about Tunisia. We had to say nice things. We were not really allowed to say to talk about the reality, the real reality, if I might say so. So we didn't bother to make documentaries. But after the revolution, you will have the chance to see two films that were made after the revolution. One is called It Was Better Tomorrow, made by a first-time filmmaker, Hind Boujama, mainly female. Out of the 6 films or 7 films that are screened are mainly made by women. Raja, Mufida, Hind, mostly. Pictured this way. I don't know if you have seen Lady Bird by Ken Loach. That's a fiction. This one is a documentary. We followed, Hind followed that woman, Aida, 2 days after the revolution. She met her in a demonstration, and we followed her for a year until after the elections. And it's incredible. I mean, you have to see the film. It's really, really... We also made another film, a young man, also first-time director, which is very important. It's called Cursed Be the Phosphate. It's about it's the first sparkle of the Arab uprising, actually. It happened in 2008. And for 6 months, in the mining region of Tunisia, the phosphate region, we had 35,000 policemen there, very savagely oppressing the population because there was an uprising, and not a single or maybe one journalist went there. Nobody went there. Everybody heard about the uprising, but nobody talked about it. No one. And when you watch the film after, you feel like a slap on the face. You feel guilty. How come we did not know about it? How come we did not talk about it or do something about it? That's the guilt, a real feeling of guilt. And then I forgot the rest of the question.
Well, maybe you can tell us more also about, as a woman, you're a very successful woman in a male-dominant society. Tell us your challenges or any challenges of a woman in the industry, like the movie industry today, if we have an industry.
Actually, I never suffered from being a woman. I know, especially in Tunisia, when I started, there were no film male producer, women producer. Very, very, very. I don't think there was one. Salma Bakar was a director. Not Salma Bakar is in the Assemblée Constituante. No, there were no female producer when I started really. But I never suffered from...
You started in 1994?
1994. I was working with a very important film producer in Tunisia who really made me like production because I didn't know, I was teaching, so I didn't know what production meant, but I really wanted to help Mufida make her film. That's how I came into, and I was very close to her, that's how I came to this profession. I was working with Mr. Fourati, and it was really inspiring. And I never suffered from being a woman doing this job. Really, never. It was a male milieu, but I never suffered. As a woman, I never suffered. You know, as I was saying yesterday, the issue of gender was never a problem. Today, I haven't changed anything in my way of working. I continued. I'm not into politics, but I'm doing exactly what I was doing before, following young directors, trying to find new things, trying to have to follow what I want to produce. I hope we'll try to resist, not to adjust, as you were saying, but to be careful with what we are doing. I don't think I can make things like, as I was saying yesterday, satin rouge, or even very secrets, but we'll do it differently. We'll not change our way of, but we don't know. It's still we are resisting, but.
Okay, thank you. Kenza Fourati, she's a model, a swimsuit model. So Kenza, she walks runway for Valentino, Vivienne Westwood, Celine, and Vogue, Elle, Official. She has a really great reputation. Lives in New York. Yeah. And you grew up in Tunisia, or like, what is it like to be a model, like especially swim model, like a Tunisian in a Muslim culture? Country?
I'll start by saying, like everyone else, thank you for inviting me, for being here. It's quite interesting because it's a nice mix of the three cultures, like Tunisia, New York, through the Alliance Française to French, so I'm very happy to be here, thank you. Yes, so I grew up in Tunisia and I became by accident a model, but I grew up surrounded by very powerful women, my mother to start, and so I guess I was always pushed to, if it was, I mean, it's not, stay by my principles, but do what I wanted to do in respect of where I came from, but also who I was as an individual, and find my balance in between this. So I never really thought of it being a problem until very recently. I was just doing my job. It was amazing. It is amazing opportunities, but it became more of a problem recently, like after the revolution. Let's face it. Before, I never thought that, oh, how is it like as an Arab woman? Yes, I'm an Arab woman, but I'm from the most modern Arab country. So I never thought that, oh, is it really impossible to do? Yes, that was where I come from, this is where I was going. It became more of a problem later on.
Right, after the revolution you mean?
Yes.
Because of the environment and all this race of Islamists?
No, because voices were heard. I mean, voices were heard before we couldn't hear the Islamists, but after it, and I respected it, and it changed also, as everyone else, it changed also the way you approach things. I had to respect also, to not hurt.
Yeah, mutual respect.
Mutual respect. Okay. I don't believe in like frontal clash, but I believe in mutual respect.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Elisa is still with us? Are you here?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Turning to Elisa. Elisa, she's from Carthage, Tunis. She's chief political analyst at African Development Bank. So Elisa, unemployment, poverty, inequality in Tunisia pushed Tunisia to take the street in 2010. How is the economy, the economical situation today? How do you describe it?
Well, good to see you again, Aida, and thanks for Whitebox for this very timely and relevant event. I'm actually talking to you not from Carthage, but from the office, which is about 2 blocks away from Habib Bourguiba, where some of the demonstrations took place that toppled the former dictator. So we're in the midst of it. I think it's important to go back to some of the factors that triggered the revolution. The revolution, as we know, was as much cultural as economic. There are a few factors. One of them was the very low governance and democratic governance that the country was living in prior to the revolution, and that is something that we might want to discuss throughout the discussion, because there is still some elements of it. The second one was a very uneven distribution of the economic dividends within the country, both regionally and within the social classes. Let's not forget that the event that triggered the revolution was the self-immolation of a young man in the interior of the country. So that comes the regional disparity. That was someone who was seeking a human dignity, but also just the ability to meet his basic economic needs. And that is also an element that is still very, very present in terms of not having been fully or adequately addressed. The third element that is considered as having been one of the triggers is the very high youth unemployment. And prior to the revolution, we had numbers of close to 30% youth unemployment in Tunisia, with a national average of 14%. And those figures are still fairly accurate today, so that's also something. The fourth factor was the increased net connectivity of the young population that actually helped in spreading the revolution, and that is an element that is still present, and with the rise also of the civil society and the open is actually a positive element as well. Where we are today is not very good. We're clearly in an economic downturn. Foreign direct investment has gone down. There's a very unstable environment that is not conducive to either domestic or foreign investment. The political and social uncertainty. There's also the fact that we're in a very weak external environment, mostly because of the European trading partners of Tunisia, who are themselves in an economic crisis in Europe. We're also in a very unstable region, and we are unfortunately expecting regional spillover effects, both from Libya, from Mali, and from potentially Syria. So this does not also bring a lot of positive outlook at the moment. So there's as you know, past 2 days there have been also ACMI, that is the Al-Qaeda movement in the region that has been quite active on the Algerian frontier, and an almost open guerrilla warfare with the military here in Tunisia that is quite new to the country, quite new to the forces in the country that are not well equipped to deal with this, and quite unstable and creating some fear within the population. So the present conjecture is not very good, and there are still some structural elements that haven't been addressed. There's also the problem we have is there's not really a historical reference we can go back to. A lot of the analysis you will see out there kind of goes back to what has happened in the former Soviet Union satellite countries in the early 1990s after the Berlin Wall fell down. And that is not necessarily a very valid comparison, because these were economies that were quite different from the one that Tunisia has, or for that sake, Libya or Egypt or even Yemen. So here you had a market economy with a functioning private sector. So we don't really have historical references to go back to and say this is how it's going to do. What we can look at is how some of these countries have bounced back. In general, they bounced back in terms of employment and in terms of GDP in about a 4 to 5 years time frame. It might probably take longer for Tunisia because of the external elements I was talking about. And so that is where we are at the moment. We could discuss also some of the steps that were taken right after the revolution. The question is whether we could question the choice of the first step that was taken, which was formulating a new constitution. It's a very natural step after revolution, but it's a very lengthy and it's a very costly process. And this is where Tunisia is at the moment, and it doesn't necessarily address the economic needs of the vulnerable people who are the fighters of this revolution. So we have a bit of a difference between what is expected on the ground, what is being done politically, and that triggers as well a bit of a less positive outlook. Yeah, I would say that's a bit of where we are right now.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. One more thing, like Tunisia today has relied on foreign assistance, like to finance its budget, like the IMF money. Tunisia has a debit of 2 loans from the World Bank, 500 million twice. I think grants also from the ADB.
Yeah.
So this goes without a cost. Like we know with this, in the past, this is what happened, like with the structural adjustment, and it leads to cutting the subsidies and raising prices and the taxes, and which is what's happening right now in a period where the country needs to recover from the uprising. So can you talk about this, and do you see other measures the government could take to avoid borrowing?
Yes, you're right. There has been quite a lot of budget support coming out and assistance, mostly to answer the backing away of some of the investors that has happened, and also to assist the government a little bit, trying to address some of the needs that were there. It's not sufficient, and one could also raise question about how it has been sort of used. So there is an issue there. There has been a lot of creation of public sector jobs, which is not really the answer to what is going on the market. So that is a problem. It's not sufficient, and there has been really, as I said as well, a lot of investors, foreign ones that are backing away from Tunisia. So it doesn't look very good in that way. One of the interesting points is that if you look historically, revolutions usually occur after a period of solid economic growth. And we've seen this, for example, in the case in point is the Iranian Revolution, which happened actually after a 6-year spike in growth. So usually revolutions happen when economics are going well, which is kind of scary right now because things are going bad. And so the level of contesting what is going to happen might actually drop because people are more focused on managing the day-to-day. There are some new fears coming up, and so you could have potentially a lower contesting ability of the population with what is going on. So it's a bit contradictory in a way, but this is what happens. So that is a bit scary. That's where the cultural movement and the civil society action is extremely important in maintaining the monitoring of what's going on at all levels to raise awareness, because the economics will take over, and it's going to be for some time about survival for most of the people, and that's not a moment where people go out on the street and raise questions. So that's something to be kept in mind. Another key lesson is, and I think a lot of actors looking at Tunisia are actually now looking at different types of indicators, looking really at where the poverty levels are, and the voice and accountability is becoming also. And it's quite Tunisia was revolutionary, not only in what happened in the country, but also outside, because until then people just looked at the economic growth numbers and the stability stability, and Tunisia was doing well. And it had a stable government, and now people are looking at other types of indicators and saying, what is it about voice and accountability of elected officers, accountability of the trade unions, and representativeness of the workers. All of these elements are coming up and are becoming just as valid as looking at GDP. So we have a turnaround in there, which is quite important, and it's important to keep it in mind.
Okay, thank you, Elisa. Would you like to add anything before we take a question from the audience? No? Yes?
Please do give voice to the artists because they have something to say as well.
Okay, artists, raise your hand. So, where are the Tunisian artists here? What do you want to say? You are in New York. Speak up.
I just want to add something about the positive thing we can really acknowledge since the revolution is that in every artistic field there was a sort of flourishing of new talents in photography, in visual arts, in cinema. It's really amazing. And that's really music, graphics, in every aspect. Really, that's really fantastic. That's really worth saying.
There's so much things to say, that's why I lost my voice. So, first of all, I want to thank the Whitebox and the FIAF, and I have a special thought to, that's why we are here, to all the martyrs of Tunisia. And what I'm saying is, thanks to them and thanks to this uprising, I say uprising, but it's not a revolution yet. It's still loading. And what I want to say is, they gave us the chance to express. And with the time, I get aware that the voice of the artist is getting more important than some journalists, because journalists are mostly looking for buzz, marketing. It can be for media local in Tunisia or international media. They're just looking for power and money and not for truth. I'm not talking about all, of course, but most of them. And the role of the artist today is to show his truth. I won't say the truth, but his truth. And fortunately we took these pictures 2 years ago because today what the actual government is trying to make to manipulate history, and at least they cannot lie on us now, because technology won't permit them to manipulate history again. Okay, that's what I want to say.
Very good, thank you.
Where's
Emil, are you here? Emil, she's a painter. She's a painter. So
have some chance for that.
she's a painter and let's hear.
She's a painter.
Hello, I'm Amna. I'm a painter. I live in Tunisia. I'm here for the first time in New York, and it's great because of the yes. Here, really, I traveled around the world, but it's the first time that I see really democracy. So. We are in transition in democracy, and we must see how it must be. It's hard for us now because transition takes time, and I think 2 years too short to see democracy in our country. But we are working on it, and we are fighting for this. Women are very strong in our country, artists too. And I hope that things will go better in few time. I don't know. Thank you.
We'll take questions from the audience. Oh, one more, right? Okay. Come on, online. Get your tickets.
I talk in French.
Amin.
Yeah, I'm Amin Andossi, a photographer. And also moi, je passe, on va dire, 5 jours ou une dizaine de journées à New York avec 5 artistes femmes. Je suis avec eux. Je suis bien le seul artiste avec eux, le seul homme avec eux. Et vraiment, je découvre.
So he's been here for like 5 days, and he spent it with 5 women artists, Tunisian ones.
Et je découvre concrètement ce que je suis en train de photographier, parce que pendant toute la Révolution, j'ai photographié que des femmes, entre autres, mais ils sont toujours devant mon objectif. Ils sont toujours, toujours elles sont toujours elles. Je m'excuse. C'est l'émotion. Et elles veillent toujours sur moi. Elles sont toujours là. Ma femme, ma première, c'est ma femme. Ouais, et puis toutes ces femmes-là, à partir de la mère de Banzizi, à partir des femmes qui se battent pour peut-être bien être un bridge, un pont, pas entre les partis politiques, parce que les partis politiques pour moi sont tous nuls, et ils sont à leur premier année élémentaire, ils viennent d'entrer à l'école. Donc on a un problème de société.
So he's saying that now he's really discovering what he's been photographing since the revolution, because he basically photographed women, and they were always in front of his lens, and now he's really discovering them. So he's saying also, he talked about he said that the political party sucks in Tunisia. So also that all women in Tunisia were watching for him. So basically the first one is his wife and the mother of Bouchoucha, the first martyr Tunisian who burned himself.
Si je vais donner un conseil à moi-même, peut-être bien, c'est que je vais dire que notre rôle de photographe ou d'artiste, c'est de partir vers les femmes. On va dire, nous ici, je sais pas, on se définit comme progressiste ou démocrate, je sais pas, je m'en fous des définitions, des labellisations, mais de partir à notre rive, de voir ces femmes-là qui appartiennent à un autre parti ou à notre idéologie, et d'essayer de... On a un problème sociétal, on a un problème de société en Tunisie, on n'a pas un problème politique, parce que la société fait la politique. C'est pas le contraire. Ça y va. J'en ai deux.
He's saying that in Tunisia mostly we have a problem of society more than political, because it comes first from the society, and there is kind of two trends that needs to meet at one point and have a discussion. So we should go forward to meet the other Tunisia that is also very important.
And the last thing, c'est la musique, c'est la Tunisie, c'est le pays de la mosaïque. On a la réserve, la plus grande réserve de mosaïque dans le monde. Donc il faut s'inspirer de ça. On est un pays de mosaïque. Voilà, merci.
Tunisia is the country of mosaic arts.
Yeah, the mosaic.
Mosaics.
Yeah, we had a very, very great collection. One
Yeah,
is
the
the biggest
richest collection. And we should be inspired by this art to build a society, I guess.
Okay, thank you. Is Leila around? Leila, is she around? Any more artists around? Want to talk? Want to speak up?
Maybe she.
Jay. Okay. Jay. Okay. So, anyone have questions? The audience, yeah.
Peter Finn.
Peter Finn.
Stand up and speak
Speak
loud.
up, yeah, because we don't.
Just a question.
And as slowly as you can.
Why not call it Carthage? So that when we in the West look at it, we see it's a rival to Rome. I mean, why not give it more grandeur?
What do we need to call Carthage? I'm sorry.
Well, we all know
Tunisia
about Carthage. It was a great empire in
Right.
Africa.
Yeah.
Tunisia is a small country. But if you say Carthage, then we think, oh, gee, civilization.
Okay. So what Peter is trying to say, saying, okay, Carthage is really big empire in the past, and why don't we call Tunisia now, go back in that sense to Carthage?
You know, it's funny because you are, to all the problems we have, you are adding another one, which is the name of the country, so please, no, really, because I think Carthage is obviously a great name, and the great, it resounds, like it has a very resounding, symbolic name, but it doesn't also, I mean, it's part of Tunisia. It's not only, it doesn't summarize all the Tunisian history, because there are other parts, there are other streams of the society, there are other histories that came like along after that. So you cannot, like, I mean, it's beautiful, but it has also some limits in the sense that it cannot be, but well.
For our defense, Africa comes first comes from Tunisia. Tunisia at first was called Africa, and we gave the name to the continent, so I think we should stop there.
Can I give you a sample answer? If you look at the picture that taken by Rim Tamimi, it will tell you that Muslim, Christian, Jews, we all are Tunisian, and I think that is the answer at your question, oh, I didn't understand the meaning of it. Is that an answer? It could be.
Okay, any more questions?
I have a question. And I'm thinking about the people who's following now the swimming, but I'm curious to know, before the revolution, you had some fears. After the revolution, you have some fears also. What is the difference between the first one and the one of today?
Fear? Yes. Of course, before the revolution, there was an integrated fear, really, political one. After the revolution, it changed to another form of fear. There was this tremendous, fantastic feeling of freedom that we never had before, in that sense. But it changed into a religious fear, and that's also very frightening. So, I don't know if I have answered your question.
Just a few words about that. I think, I mean, a transition is always a time of uncertainty, of anxiety. And I think we are all living in this anxiety because, I mean, it's very difficult to foresee what's going on or in the future, what will be the future of Tunisia, especially when, as Elisa was saying, she very much described the situation as it is right now. In terms of the problems, both internally and externally, that are surrounding the country. And there is no way around eruptions of violence. I think this will be part of the situation in all the countries of the Arab Spring. You see it in Libya, you see it in the loose, random surge of violence and sometimes armed groups, and we have now in the frontier with Algeria, we have these armed groups who have planted landmines and are very sophisticated. They are operating in a very sophisticated way. So I think the fact that there was a revolution which has had, and I really do think there was a revolution. I don't like to call it an uprising because it doesn't epitomize or it doesn't mean exactly the groundbreaking, like really very, very big change that happened both in the society. Of course, the mentality have to also change, but I mean it was a revolution. So this revolution has brought down the tyrant, but then what will come up? After that, you had for a long time a suppressed society where no dissenting voice could emerge. And in this suppressed society, you have different, groups, different voices. They don't all agree, and they are many of them are against this democracy. They are against this transition. They want something else, but they exist. The coexistence is something we are doomed to. It's something we need to do and work with because there is no way around it. So that's a long answer to your question, to say that it's a time of anxiety, it's a time of uncertainty, and it will continue like this for some time until there is, you can build the structures and the pillars of the new society.
Aida, just to jump in here,
yeah, sure.
If that's possible. There is a need to reconcile ourselves with temporality, and someone mentioned that 2 years is much too short to reflect on anything that has happened. But some of the fears that are coming up are related also to one of the speakers said, the lack of experience of some of the people running running the boats at the moment. And another one is also dealing with the new concepts. You have the speaker who just talk about also freedom. But the limits of freedom is also a new concept here because you didn't have it now. Now you have to not only define it, but also define its limits. And another speaker also spoke about a new concept as well, which is the mosaics, and also really this sense of the need for an inclusive development now and the need of these different identities that were there, but not really sort of suppressed and that are coming up here. So you have these fears that are coming up into this uncertainty, this looking at this in a very short term, the lack of experience, the different identities that are coming up here, and these new concepts related to freedom. So that's and it's very, it's really this division and this cleavage is very much present.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. Juan, yeah.
Elisa, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes. A while back, just a while before the revolution, you told me you were able to go back home and jog, right, in the streets of Carthage very freely. Nobody bothered you. About 6 months ago, you came here with your family, and you told me that you just cannot put your shandal on and go to the streets and run because men are beginning to block you. So what is the safety of the streets? This is for you first, and the rest of the panel who may live or spend time in Tunisia. In Egypt, we know in Cairo, the streets downtown are becoming very dangerous for women to go alone in particular, right? So what's going on? Can you go back now in Carthage or in Tunis and freely jogging the streets with her hair covered. No, could you please address the safety of the women today in Tunisia, downtown and elsewhere in the country?
Okay. Well, clearly things have changed. I'll be very sincere. It's a lot more difficult to go to any kind of outside activity dressed in certain ways at certain times of the day in Tunis at the moment. I'm talking to you this morning. I spent the morning dealing with the breakage in front of my house of the car with blood on the floor because someone tried to come in and sort of, very things that happen in every city but are new to Tunis. For us who lived elsewhere, we know how to deal with this. For Tunisians who lived in this bubble of certainty and security, it's quite new and it's quite unsettling. I have a treadmill at home now. I can afford one, so that's good. Not everyone can. It's really an issue. I used to go out and come back at around 2 o'clock in the morning without any problems. I do talk to friends, they all live something similar. Events have happened, still anecdotal at the moment, but certainly it fuels even more fear in women, and as a single mother it happens as well, so it is present. I can't say we're in a very bad situation because compared to other countries we're not. Tunis is a very safe place still. It's just the change is what is really unsettling for the people. But
I totally agree with it. There is a difference that you can feel. It's something diffuse, maybe. It's still not. We don't know the scope of what the change, or whether there are many incidents around, women and violence against women because they are dressed in a certain way or because they are behaving in a certain way. But at least from our perspective, as a Human Rights Watch researcher, we have documented some incidents like this. So, for example, in the summer, there was a journalist who was she was sleeveless, with a sleeveless dress, and she was in a popular neighborhood in Tunis, and all of a sudden she gets attacked by several men who are with, the typical Salafis attitude.
Salafis, I'm sorry, they are the conservative. The very hardline, Islamists, and she got attacked. And that's one incident, but maybe there are many more incidents. Maybe there are other people who don't... This, I don't know, not aware of this, but do you think because she is a journalist specifically, or because she was just...
No, they didn't know about her. She was just wearing a sleeveless dress and they attacked her just like this.
I just want to add something. It's not that the insecurity who is giving us anguish, it's that the non-security. It means when before the revolution, when something happened or an incident or whatever, we call the police will come and try to deal with it. Actually, there is no security when you are afraid of something or something happened to you. I think that is more anguish than what's going to happen to you. If something happened to you, whom you're going to call. I think that's how I feel about the new situation.
Yeah. Somebody want to have it? Speak up, yeah.
Allow me to introduce myself. So allow me to introduce myself. I'm a 23-year-old architect, Tunisian architect. I'm also the co-founder of the first photography platform in Tunisia. So I think that saying that this is a problem, it's really a problem, because I agree with Amin when he said it's a social problem. It was never a political problem. The problem that you said, that you talked about, these issues already existed before the revolution. The only difference that now we talk about it, I've never, before and after the revolution, I've never thought before going on what I'm gonna wear or where I'm gonna, and how late I'm gonna stay. I've always wear the same things. I wear like short skirts till now, and I've never had any problem. And it's really bad to say that now in Tunisia it's not secure, because it is. I've never changed any of my attitude since now. So the problem is the attitude of the person. So the attitude is really what defines the person, I think. And in Tunisia never changed. It's only the difference of expressing yourself. Well, that's all.
Thank you. Okay, no more questions?
I have one more question.
Sure.
I have one more question, I'm sorry. But I was just, it's like from overseas, we always have certain picture about, what's going on out there without really knowing nothing about it. But there's one thing that is strike to me, it seems to me before the revolution.
They do that, they destroy, they hurt some artists working. So now before it was known what we can do and what we can't. For the time being, as we can do everything, that's what they're doing, now or less something can happen. It's very difficult to say now what is censorship. I can't tell you honestly, but before we knew what we can't do. And it was kind of auto-censorship. The artist will regulate itself by not doing or not saying whatever they know was forbidden to say. For the time being, it's quite a very incredible freedom. We don't know. We're doing things, and we expect what's going to be a reaction according to, again, the visual art.
I just want to add one word. For example, if I may talk about films, we could play with the code. We did say many things, but the directors used to say many things, but in a very tortuous way, not straightforward. So that was possible. We knew, as Leila was saying, that you cannot touch politics. At least it was clear. Now, in this transition period, and we don't know. We don't know what are the limits, what is sacred, what is not sacred. It's still very fluctuant.
Alors, les artistes, ils veulent parler. Ah, les artistes veulent parler.
Giving to the most interesting.
Tu dis en français.
Sur la censure, avant c'était les politiciens qui censuraient, clair et net. Maintenant c'est la société qui censure. Et l'exemple que je me rappelle, c'est l'installation de JR en plein Vivo-Libre, d'accord, sur la porte de France. Et c'était à 7h du matin, j'étais là, pas fier, mais ça me paraissait normal, très normal,